When you lose small mind, you free your life. Life is a waterfall. We drink from the river, then we turn around and put up our wall. Swimming through the void, we hear the words. We lose ourselves, but we find it all. 'Cause we are the ones that wanna play. Always wanna go, but you never wanna stay. And we are the ones that wanna choose. Always wanna play, but you never wanna lose.
Hello, everyone. I see people in the comments already. Yay, that's fun. Andrew, do you want to give a shout out? I see. I know some of your Abbies. That's the only reason I can tell. I see Miguel.
Got Miguel.
Vegan.
We got Vegan. We got VA from New York. NY. VA from NY.
Nice.
Yeah, that's who we got. So
thank you guys. So tonight is a gentleman I've kind of somewhat like known throughout for the past several years through Real Progressives and Real Progress in Action. He writes incredible articles, definitely including MMT and things that I know you guys are all super passionate about. So we've been doing this thing where we've been asking people to, come on and join us. A lot of times it was just Andrew and I, but I've been reaching out to some people and saying, come join us. I like the things you have to say. So tonight we have Birion, and I want you to please introduce yourself, not just as I said you write articles, but also share about your podcast and other things you're doing.
Yeah, sure. So my name's Burian. I'm a communist, and I co-host the Crawdads and Taters podcast, which is a communist podcast calling for revolution, which is great. I write for Real Progressives. I also have a Substack, burian.substack.com, or something like that. But yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Andrew, we have a number of topics. Again, some of them are things other people aren't talking about. So we like to bring those to you to hear from you. And again, I cannot read your comments, of course, but I do read them all after the show with my thingy. I promise I do. So I do see them.
She reads them with her thingy. Don't worry.
Thingy, meaning my blind ability. I read them with my thingy. Yes. I was trying so hard to be good. That's also what she said. But yeah, so Andrew, take it away. What's the first topic?
Yeah, so I think I wanted to just shed light on a teacher strike that just happened that actually ended, and they got some good concessions happening. This happened in Massachusetts, and one of the things I really wanted to point out here is that I think we've talked about this before on the show, but a lot of people think of Massachusetts as this blue bastion, right? And I think one interesting thing that I recently learned about Massachusetts is that it's actually not, the public sector doesn't have technically a right to strike, right? So if they strike, they don't get paid, and the unions actually get fined for that, which is what happened here, which is not always the case in different schools. And so Woburn teachers. So this is a suburb a little outside of Boston. After
My
5
aunt is a Woburn teacher, so solidarity.
Really? Wow. So
Yes.
she was part of all this.
Yes, she
Wow.
was.
After 5 days of closed schools and tense negotiations, the teachers' strike in Woburn came to an end Sunday evening, narrowly averting a second week of closures. Around 6 p.m. Sunday, the Woburn Teachers Association announced that it reached a deal with the city school committee and Mayor Scott Galvin, who is a Democrat and was, from what I heard from various people, extremely unsupportive in this whole thing. Basically told teachers, like, this is what you get, deal with it. And paraprofessionals, which we'll talk about too. So the deal includes double-digit pay increases for teachers and paraprofessionals and smaller class sizes in the 4th and 5th grades. In a statement, union leaders said its members were grateful to be able to return to our classes and be with our students on Monday. So here is essentially what they won. Under the contracts, teachers will receive a 13.5% raise over the next 4 years. Paraprofessionals will receive a 40% raise in the same period. You'll find out in a second why. They were previously making a starting salary of $22,621. Paraprofessionals, and this is Massachusetts, mind you. In a
Now,
pretty
does that mean like what is that?
Yeah, so
Like
40%.
a TSS or something?
A paraprofessional. So
Yeah.
a paraprofessional, I guess you could say, is kind of like a teaching assistant, right? They kind of help out the teachers. They work with students, typically more like, a little closer, particularly students that might be, need some extra additional support. They might work with them on the side to support them, right? So that the starting salary for that type of position was $22,621. And so they got a 40% raise, which was great, but it is just absurd that it was that low to begin with for what, and so the strike comes. So this is where what I was saying at the beginning comes into play, right? The strike comes with the cost for the union. They will pay $85,000 in fines to the state and $225,000 to the city as part of their return to work agreement. And so I just wanted to, so that is what happened. And if for those of you who are not cued into Massachusetts politics, right, recently they elected a Democratic governor after not having
a Democrat.
Sorry, a Democrat with the Democratic Party. Yeah. And this is what she had to say about the teachers that were on strike. Give me 1 second to pull it up. Here we go. So she said, by the weekend, Healy had declined to meet with striking Woburn teachers and told WBZ's John Keller that she's not a fan of legislation that would legalize the practice of striking, right?
The practice.
Yes. Healy said there's a reason why teachers and other public employees are prohibited from striking under state law. Why? And this is the best part. She says, while I have a lot of sympathy and want to make sure that workers, and in this case, educators, are getting paid what they should for the important work that they do, it's still paramount that our kids be in school, the governor says. Yeah, of course it is. That maybe you should, treat teachers right so that everybody can be in school. So I just love that. That is just
do homeschooling for 2 fucking years. So, oh well.
Yeah. And I think this was interesting, right? That Massachusetts Teachers Association, they endorsed Healy eventually, but not until her last remaining Democratic competition dropped out, right? So clearly it was, what happened is there unfortunately wasn't much competition at all. She was just sort of the chosen one to take that spot. And so it's just typical machine politics and such. So I wanted to just point that out and just, luckily it was the students' support and the resilience of the teachers and paraprofessionals that got them to get that the deal. It was no thanks to the mayor of Woburn, who's been in that position for, I want to say, like 15 years or something like that, and Maura Healey, who, you know, as people would say, yeah, she's the first woman governor of Massachusetts, first LGBTQ woman. Great, but did not show up for the workers.
When she harms people. I mean, like,
yeah,
it's more forgiving, honestly. You know, at least you've got some identity politics in there, and I mean, things just feel better that way. Let me go to our guest. What are your thoughts?
Well, I was wondering if she's also a snake. There's a history of snakes coming out of Massachusetts using identity politics to advance neoliberalism.
Yeah, I'd say she fits that.
So
I know we can find pictures of them together. I'm sure we can.
I'm sure Warren would have endorsed her probably earlier than the Teachers Association did. But I mean, this kind of just follows on the heels of the whole, you know, Democratic Party getting behind breaking the railway strike last fall.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes as no surprise that we have a Democratic governor, you know, trying to prevent this strike here. But I'm glad it was a successful strike. That's good news. Yeah.
After a week. I mean, that's the thing too, is that nobody wants to see children out of school for that long. So I feel like the leverage is a little bit where it's like, all right, you know, like, and that was, I think, that, you know, what I was reading in some of the other articles, parents and students were very supportive of the teachers, right? They came out and said, look, and so that's kind of where the leverage came into their play. And I just hope that people remember how the mayor responded in that town of Woburn. Because I mean, that's just kind of, we've seen that playbook over and over again. He keeps getting reelected, low voter turnout. I mean, I don't know exactly what the voter turnout was there, but I'll assume probably low voter turnout. People just kind of accept him. And then they realize, oh, this is what you're, you know, when it becomes something very visible, like a teacher's strike. So,
Didn't we just cover a couple weeks ago, this happened in New York? Someone new was elected and unions endorsed them, and then they voted against unions, people that were trying to unionize. I cannot think of their freaking name, but it was a few weeks ago. The same fucking thing happened in New York. Bananas.
Yeah.
But mad props to these teachers, because in a week, that's damn good. Like, more power to them. That's fucking rad. I hope to see more like that. You know, honest, you know, I do digress, but I want to ask our guest a question, something I talk about a lot, and I really like to get people's perspectives, and especially as a communist, I'd like to hear your thoughts. We see, you know, on Twitter and social media, we see like hashtag general strike all the time. Do you see Americans ever actually coming together like in Europe and just flooding the fucking streets and, you know, demanding change? Do you see that ever happening? And if so, what would it take?
Well, I mean, we did see that a little bit with the George Floyd protests. I mean, that was the largest protest movement in U.S. history, but it wasn't tied to economic demands, which was kind of a big issue there. I mean, we need a lot more class consciousness, and we need a lot more unionization for there to be any real power in the labor movement. And union membership has actually gone down under Biden, in spite of his, you know, great lies to the contrary that he's the most pro-union president that we've ever had. So we're not in a great shape as far as labor goes, and, you know, general strike would require a lot more organization than what we really have on the ground. I mean, I'd love to see it, but I don't see the conditions for that currently.
I'm with you, unfortunately. Andrew, do you see any comments you want to pull up?
Yeah, no, I think NK made a really good point. Saying inflation was like above 15% last year, not the official 9% rate. See shadow stats. So this 13% raise over 4 years is not enough when inflation right now is already a half of that 13%. So that leaves, yeah. And I think there was another about at 7% over the next 3 years in Mass, one of the most expensive states in the USA. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, absolutely.
You guys are all kinds of smart. That's why I love, hearing from you guys. You're amazing. I see Applejack has joined.
Ooh, yes, Applejack is in the house. Applejack says hello. Well, first says, "Goddamn commie," and then says, "Nah, I'm playing. Communists are great." So
I'm going to say, do I need to boot your ass? Come on now.
Oh,
what is next on our lineup
so
here?
You wanted to talk about an article that you just wrote and such. So you wanted me to, I'll share it in the chat and then go from there.
Yeah, so you guys please subscribe to my Substack. I haven't been writing as much, but now I have a new device, so I am going to be writing more.
A new thingy.
I have a new thingy, and it helps me. So I'm going to put my English, being an English major, to account, and we'll be writing some more. But this article I published last night, it's about certain YouTubers and their sycophants and how they are a cult of personality. And even when they do something incredibly fucked up, all of them just swarm to lick the boots and not hold them accountable. So yeah, I mean, like I say in the disclaimer, if you think it's about you, it probably is. So yeah, Andrew's gonna put that in the comments. Please subscribe, share.
Yeah, just did.
Yes. Thank you for bringing that up, Andrew.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to talk about what happened in Ohio now. I see a lot of people have already started talking about that in the chat.
Well, Applejack is in Ohio, right?
Yeah. Where in Ohio is Applejack? So
you just texted me that he's going to Cincinnati, I believe.
Okay.
Certain.
Great. So yeah, we have a few different things we wanted to show. I think I'll start if you're good, Joy. I want to start with this video.
There is a part 2 as well.
Yes, yeah. I was gonna actually shout out to Jenna for bringing to my attention the part 2 as well. So I'll play the part 1, then I'll get the part 2. But this is from. So I hadn't heard of this guy before.
Me either.
He is a mechanical. He has a mechanical engineering background. And he breaks down specifically, how the why and how this is more dangerous than a lot of the than they're claiming right now. So,
and can we talk about how me seeing East Palestine trending made my heart sink? And I can't be the only one. I'm like, oh fuck. Like, why is it named that? It's banana.
Yeah, I know, right? And so I guess CEB Applejack wants to do first interview with some of the people that have family living in East Palestine. So it sounds like some of the people who are there. Unfortunately, Mom getting firsthand accounts of people getting sent to the hospital over sicknesses within 30 miles of East Palestine, which is
30 miles.
Yeah, and sadly, based on what we're about to hear this person saying in this video, I'm not that surprised after hearing how toxic the chemical is that spilled. But yeah, let's just give this a listen here, because this is, I think, this is a good perspective that is not really being shown in most places. So
this hasn't been getting a lot of coverage, and the coverage that it has been getting hasn't been very good. So let's talk about the trail derailment in East Palestine, Ohio. East Palestine's about an hour north of Pittsburgh, almost halfway to Cleveland. Norfolk Southern has a rail line that goes right through town, and this derailment happened right on the edge outside of town on the border of PA and Ohio. Of the cars that crashed, 5 of them contained vinyl chloride. It's a monomer used to make PVC. The reporting on this has gotten vinyl chloride confused with polyvinyl chloride, the polymer made out of vinyl. Now, the reason that this distinction is really important is vinyl chloride is very hazardous and very flammable. Polyvinyl chloride is a plastics that is. The other thing about vinyl chloride is that it boils at 8 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's shipped in its liquid form, meaning that when these leaking, they weren't just leaking liquid, but they were spewing boiling gas. So vinyl chloride is really toxic. OSHA has the permissible limit of how much you can be exposed to it during an 8-hour shift as a 1 ppm part per million, average over 8 hours. So prior to this, the biggest spill of this chemical was in New Jersey, where 1 train car and about 23,000 gallons of vinyl chloride were spilled, but it didn't catch on fire. Now, this crash in Ohio has 5 train cars. These kinds of tanker cars can carry between 25 and 33,000 gallons. Let's call it 250 to 250,000 pounds of vinyl chloride. That's per train car, 5 train cars. There's maybe 1 million pounds of this toxic chemical spilling into the ground and also boiling off into the air. But then it caught on fire. I think this is where the reporting is really bad, because no one's mentioning what the byproduct of vinyl chloride burning is. Of the many byproducts of burning vinyl chloride, one of them is hydrogen chloride. Hydrogen chloride is really unstable and latches onto water vapor in the atmosphere, and that turns into hydrochloric acid. So right now, government officials from the railroad, both the governor of Pennsylvania and Ohio, are calling burning off the 1 million pounds of this stuff a success, but not mentioning that it means that we have hundreds of thousands of pounds of acid in the air, potentially. Now, ever since engineering school, I've studied a lot of industrial accidents. I just find it really fascinating, and organizations like the Chemical Safety Board, NTSB, and OSHA all have like really good reports available to the public. I think as a designer, it's really good to learn about mistakes. When looking at these kinds of industrial disasters across time, there are a couple things that are pretty universal across all of them. 1, the responsible party, in this case, Norfolk Southern Railway, always plays down the reality of the situation. Politicians also just repeat the same lines, and then news outlets just repeat the same. So all we're hearing is the responsible party's word.
So I'm in Pennsylvania, and I'm going to tell you my very first reaction when I heard about this. I don't care if I'm a conspiracy theorist. I don't fucking care. All I know is being a Pennsylvanian and having this happen right by the fucking railroad strikers with the fucking trains. I'm sorry, but that's fucking weird. I cannot, like, my first thought was like, what the fuck? Has anybody, please put in the comments if anyone else like thought that this is like weird, that it's literally like right by, I don't know, maybe I'm looking too much into it, but that was my initial, response. Let me see, what's Jenna say?
That
Dude, right. Okay, so it's not just me. Okay.
Dude, right? Yeah.
Let's go to our guest. What did you think? What were your initial thoughts when you saw this just insane clusterfuck?
Well, I mean, it's a clear side effect of the railroad corporation's policies, which is part of the reason why we almost had a railway strike, was because the way they were treating the workers, their precision scheduling. They've cut the workforce. Their safety standards have kind of gone out the window. So it's not surprising at all that this happened.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's important to tie that to, the Biden administration's recent shutdown of the railway strike and the forcing them to accept this agreement that gets them one additional paid sick day when they were asking for 15. So you got, all these railway workers who have no time off.
Yeah.
And I don't know, what actually caused the derailment. I don't know if that's even been released, but either of you know. But either way, this is it's responsibility of the railway corporations, their unsafe practices, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. One of the things that I actually, and Jenna showed this to me too, was from a tweet of the current governor of Pennsylvania. He was elected a month. Well, he started as being governor a month ago. Josh Shapiro, his name is, and he supposedly was supposed to be one of the more progressive. They kind of lumped him in with Fetterman, right? Where it's you've got two progressive choices.
Fucking great.
And
I didn't vote for them, by the way.
And the tweet that he mentioned, he said something like, everything looks like it's been handled to care. I'm paraphrasing, but there shouldn't be any problems going forward. And meanwhile, we have people like Applejack who is saying, people who are getting sick that are 30 miles away, right? Which, I mean, it sounds like, I'm going to be honest, I didn't really know specifically about this chemical, but from what I'm hearing about it, you don't really want all of that in the air. Sounds like it's a health hazard.
Anything that's part of an explosion, you probably don't want to.
Probably don't want it. Yeah. So,
and I'm sure it's great for the environment. I mean, not just health wise. I'm sure it's fucking great for Pittsburgh. Jenna sends me a lot of things about our lack of air quality in Pennsylvania, and Pittsburgh's lack of air quality is truly just astronomical. So this is fucking bananas.
Yeah, I mean, so Jenna was saying the evac zone was 1 mile by 2 mile area. NK says they are still not allowing residents back in their homes, which is good because that stuff settles in the basements. Yeah. And they poisoned streams already 5 kilometers. I can't talk away yesterday. So, that smell, it may be unpleasant, but it's fine. Yeah.
Well, remember when Fetterman compared things like this to a loaf of bread? Yeah.
I did not know about that. What did he compare to a loaf of bread?
Like anything happening in the environment that is, not supposed to be happening.
Oh.
He was comparing it to baking loaves of bread. Yeah. Well,
that's so Lucky Burrito brings up a good point. Streams have dead fish, right? So, I mean, think about too, fish. People eat fish, right? And what's that going to do to the food? There's definitely a lot of things that they clearly aren't that months and months down the road, years, we might be still suffering the consequences.
I mean, we just had Stephen Donziger a couple days ago. If you guys watch that, what such things can do to people.
Mm-hmm.
Awful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'll just play part 2 really quickly, and we can give our final responses to that, and then we'll move on to the Democrats voting down socialism. Well, and Republicans, of course, too. But we already expected they would. Well, we expected both would. But let's just play this video.
After Ohio train derailed.
Okay, check this out.
It wasn't officials in the sense of government officials, but these are actually people that work for the
Heart the video? Nope.
responsible for the spill in the first place. This is nothing new. When you look at reporting for industrial accidents, going back even 140
Trying to do this
years
without
in the
looking.
United States,
Oh,
you will
nope.
see that the media and politicians almost
Heart it.
always
Nope.
allow
No
the
heart.
responsible party to control
Nope.
the narrative.
No.
Okay, yeah. So that was the thing. I don't know what I was showing. But
Oh my God. That was Jenna's response to it. She does that all the time. She'll send
Not
me stuff
bad.
look, I see you on YouTube.
I'll have to All right, I'll look for part 2. Sorry about that. In the meantime, we can move on and we can always go back to that. But yeah, any last thoughts on this, or
I'm just, I'm going to defer to our guest again, and I want to know, like, what are your thoughts about, do you think we're going to hear the truth about what has happened, or do you think we're going to hear a version of the truth, or it's just going to, the new shiny object is just going to completely make it obscure?
Yeah, I doubt eventually there'll probably be some report released by like OSHA or something that will be buried and never reported on by the mainstream media. And because it'll turn out to be entirely the railway corporation's fault.
Yeah.
And they may pay a few small fines while the people of East Palestine probably will never be able to live there again, or will all get cancer and die. I mean, it's kind of like the downwinders of the Hanover Nuclear Reservation, which is in like Eastern Washington, but basically they couldn't eat their food or drink water, and they had like some of the highest cancer rates in the world. But they just went ahead and let them die, basically.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I think our audience understands, but I wish more people understood that we're fucking expendable. Like, we are. I mean, we're nothing to these people. We are capital, and if we're not capital, then we're not worth anything. And that's an uplifting thought. But the thing is, it's reality.
Yes. Yep. All right. So, a lot of you probably heard about this, that Republicans led a charge against an anti-socialism resolution. So, Joy, did you want me to read a little bit of this article?
Yeah, you can read some, please.
By the way, Ro Khanna voted against this.
Obviously.
He voted against socialism. So, yeah. More than 100 U.S. House Democrats, including some of the wealthiest members of Congress, joined with Republican lawmakers on Thursday in passing a resolution denouncing the horrors of socialism, a largely symbolic gesture that opponents warned is nonetheless a step towards slashing Social Security, Medicare, and other safety net programs. House Concurrent Resolution 9, which denounces socialism in all its forms and opposes the implementation of socialist policies in the U.S., was introduced by Rep. Maria Elvira Salazar, the staunchly anti-communist daughter of Cuban exiles who once interviewed then Cuban Fidel Castro for Telemundo. I think it's the best resolution that has ever been presented before the United States Congress, Salazar. Really told insider at the U.S. Capitol before the vote. Our youth are being penetrated by this ideology through media and academia. Really? Where? The measure, which followed the vote to oust Ilhan Omar from the House Foreign Affairs Committee, passed 328 to 86, with 14 lawmakers voting present and 6 members not voting. 109 Democrats, many of them members of the corporate-friendly New Democrat Coalition, joined with every Republican lawmaker in voting to approve the resolution. Prominent Democrats who voted yes include Hakeem Jeffries, Minority Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, Jim Clyburn. Wow, such great, wow, neoliberal city right here. All of whom played prominent roles in defeating Bernie Sanders' presidential campaigns, which were based on popular democratic social policies and principles.
I wonder if how Warren voted, Miss Capitalist to my bones. Because let's not forget.
That's a good question.
A couple.
I don't think it went to the Senate.
What's that?
I don't think it went to the Senate.
Go to the Senate.
Oh, you're right.
Just a House.
Okay.
2 years ago or what have you, at Trump's State of the Union, if you guys remember, he said socialism will never come to the United States, and Warren and all her fucking cronies stood up and gave a standing ovation. So they were literally giving a standing ovation to Trump. When people don't even fucking understand what socialism means, like, it's so sad. Like, that's why we need fucking free education, because people don't even fucking know these basic terms. That's so sad. So fucking sad. But yet, Ro Khanna is the fucking co-chair on Bernie's campaign. Ro Khanna just met with us in DC and says he's, gonna help us write a fucking bill to cancel medical debt. Ro Khanna is like, yeah, we need Medicare for all. He's against socialism? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to text him about that one.
Yeah, definitely bug him.
I will. I fucking text him all the time. And then he comes back like, I understand, Joy. And I'm like, look, I don't need your I understand. I need you to fucking do something for the people. That's what I need you to do. Which isn't going to happen. But
sweet talking can only get you so far, Ro.
He's scared of me, though. So he knows I will hold his ass accountable nonstop. I always have.
Yep. So, sorry, Burian, what were you saying?
Well, since Ro Khanna came up, this is the same Ro Khanna who introduced the amendment declaring the Azov Battalion to be a terrorist group and that we shouldn't be sending arms to them back in, I think it was 2018.
Yes.
And now, every single arms package to Ukraine has been approved by, every single Democrat in the House, including Ro Khanna. And when called out on it, he's kind of just like hemmed and hawed and been like, but we've got to support Ukraine. And, it's like, these are Nazis. We know they're Nazis. They haven't changed their Nazi ideology.
Right.
But giving them weapons...
unabashed Nazis. Like, they're not trying to hide it.
No.
Yeah. And you make up a good point. He proposed the legislation. It's not like, he voted on it. You don't know what was said to get him to vote. No, like, he literally proposed. So he was that passionate about it from 2014 to 2018. And then all of a sudden, now the circumstances are different. Okay. No, they're not.
Well, yeah. And it's fascinating, too, that you can see so many news articles, like titles in news articles that just regularly talked about the Nazi issue in Ukraine. And suddenly now...
Well, or when on the news, when they accidentally show footage of them, when they're like, this is currently happening in Ukraine. And it's like, you see the patches, it's, oops.
Yeah. So... So I guess next what we were going to talk about was the balloon, the spy balloon.
Okay, I'm probably not the only person who said this, and this is not like I told you so, but as soon as I heard this shit, my biggest fear, and I tweeted it out, was, oh my God, Asian hate crime is about to just go even higher. And I was seeing posts like that all day, and it's fucking awful because it's an example of how, the news propaganda will go with something, everybody listens to it, regurgitates it everywhere, and then even if it's then countered and they say, oh, we got misinfo, we learned more, whatever, it's already ingrained in people's fucking heads. It doesn't matter. You can make clarifications or correction. It doesn't fucking matter. And this is, people fucking love this shit. They love to just hate the Chinese.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I look at this as, manufacturing consent for war with China.
Absolutely.
Oh, of course.
We already have, some U.S. general recently said, we're going to go to war with China by 2025. That's 2 years away. Um, I guess they have to get the war started before Biden gets voted out of office. But
That's exactly what I thought. Absolutely. Absolutely. Incredible. But like, what do you think that would mean for us as far as, obviously this is not the most important thing, but as far as production and stuff, because we outsource so many of our jobs to China and our products are from there, and we have these horrendous trade bills and stuff. So that would also be, it would give the Americans a rude awakening that like maybe products really aren't that important, and maybe you don't need these like, whimsical like fucking knick-knacky shit that you're buying all the time. Like maybe, using things that are necessities are more important. What do you think?
I mean, they've already kind of flirted around that with sanctions on China.
Right.
We saw like the steel tariffs under Trump that just ended up making everything more expensive in the United States because it's just a additional tax essentially on U.S. consumers. And so an actual hot war with China, things are going to get a whole lot worse as far as like inflation goes, because it's that's a big part of our supply chain is coming from China, and we also sell a lot of our natural resources to China. Coal, which is shipped by train and then shipped over to China. We sell a lot of coal to China. But I guess with Biden, we can just keep the coal at home and burn it here.
It's clean coal.
Yeah. Biden loves clean coal.
Yeah, this is going to be fucking nuts, I swear. And like, China has weapons. So it's like, that's also, something we don't always think about, and this wasn't an epiphany, but the other day I was sitting here thinking, they call it a defense budget and they call it like, defense spending and shit, but we're not defending shit. Like, we're the ones harming the world. We're America's bully, as Claire Daly says. So, like, defense my ass, but there may come a time when we may need to defend ourselves. Like, and trust me, I'm anti-imperialist. I don't want it in any way. But I think it's interesting that we are so much the world's bully, and we send weapons everywhere, and we have this military budget that's just non-existent because we give and give and give, and then maybe one day that comes back to haunt us. And that's why it's so frustrating to see like such a xenophobia against Russian people and stuff. People act like all Russian people like want this shit. Like they like want to be in this imperialist bullshit. Like, just like we don't want to be involved in Ukraine. We don't want to be involved in Syria. We don't want to be involved in Palestine. But the government does. Doesn't mean we have to agree with it. Well, the same fucking thing goes on with Russia. Oh, Russia this, Russia that. Fuck the Russians. But you're being presumptuous. All of them have this like ulterior motive. And if it hit us and one day we're under attack, people are going to learn real fucking quick that maybe people don't always agree with their country going to war.
I for one, will welcome our new Chinese communist overlords.
Yeah. I recently learned that the war that had, and this is, I think, on proportionally, not like necessarily number, but the war that had the most amount of U.S. soldiers just completely abandon, right, their posts was the war against Mexico in the 1840s.
Really?
Yeah, it actually surpassed Vietnam. Yeah, and that was, I think, the same war that Henry David Thoreau, I believe, went to jail because he was like, I'm not paying taxes because this is a bullshit. My taxes not going towards that. And Ralph Waldo Emerson comes to him. He's like, what the fuck are you doing in jail? He's like, why the fuck are you not in here with me? So, yeah, going to that statement where it's like, yeah, we have, and if you look into a lot of the statistic data, like there's soldiers that abandon their posts all the time in wars because they're just like, what the fuck are we doing? They see it on the ground and they're like, what is this? We're not fighting for freedom. So yeah,
I think a lot of people I feel like less and less people are entering the military, or is that just my perspective?
That's a good.
What do you guys think?
I don't know the answer to that. I mean, I know they prey on the most oppressed population.
Oh yeah.
To try to get them to join the military, with offering, free college and free health care, and
which is why we're like never going to get it, because what incentive do people have then?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and that's literally one of like the talking points they use when it's like we talk about free college or free, public college or whatever you want to call it. They're always like, "Oh, join the military and you'll have all these benefits for free."
You just have to kill people.
You just have to kill people and be at high risk of getting, killed, traumatized to the point where you can't work afterwards.
Yeah, you have PTSD, but you have healthcare, so suck it the fuck up.
And you know what? You can now go to college for free. I know we scarred you for life now, but hey, education. So
yeah, if their commercials were actually accurate.
Right. Right. So I know that, me and Joy talked a little bit about this a little while back, regarding what the privatization that they are doing to Medicare right now. And so just to show a little bit of this, in a Tuesday letter. So this is written in January 19th, I think, in a Tuesday letter to Health and Human Services Secretary. Am I sharing my screen? Yes, I am. I'm actually sharing it. Cool. To Xavier Becerra and Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services Administrator Jaquita Brooks-Lasur. Physicians for a National Health Program argued that ACO REACH presents a threat to the integrity of traditional Medicare and an opportunity for corporations to take money from taxpayers while denying care to beneficiaries. So, to sum it up, there was essentially, from my understanding, a loophole in Obamacare that allowed Medicare to be privatized, much more so. Trump took advantage of this Obamacare loophole, implemented it, and now all Biden has to do now that he's president is be like, no, we're not doing this. But of course, Biden is not doing that. So we are going forward when it comes to creating a third party in between the healthcare provider and the government so that this can be more costly. Is that an accurate summary, Joy, from what we've
and shout out to PNHP for addressing this. They've been really supportive of our M for M for All events and everything. But yeah, as someone who used to work for Medicare for years, I think, I can guarantee many disabled and elderly people do not understand how severe this is. Mm-hmm. And it's scary. A lot of them sign up for Medicare Advantage because they think it's good, and it's fucking garbage. Like, it's pure garbage.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that is just the overall context of some of the concerns that many people have. And now I want to pull up a video that I actually saw that Blue Moon shared regarding this person who confronted Bowman. Look, this is happening and it's not okay. What are you going to do about it? And let's just look at how Bowman responds to this.
A couple of weeks ago, he started this program of putting Medicare on the first. I want to know what you guys are doing about it. So it sounds like to me this is the first time I'm hearing about it.
We're doing something.
What are you doing?
We're doing something.
Don't approach me with this energy, man. Approach me, say hello, Congressman Bowman. How are you? It's a pleasure to meet you. There's something I want to bring to your attention in case you don't know. There's this thing called and it's something you should look at because I'm very concerned about that. Do it that way. Don't approach me trying to back me in the corner and you got somebody recording me like trying to get me. Don't do that. Approach.
Can we just talk about that? He clearly, like, I'm looking at his surroundings. It doesn't look like he's really quite at a corner. He's got plenty of like directions in which ways he can go, right? It's fairly open space. Is that just me that sees that?
Wow.
So there's more to this. I just wanted to
as Congressman. Wow.
So there's I definitely want to play more of this, but that was just I just had to point out that ludicrous.
The hubris. Holy
it's like
fuck.
You are at a bar. I'm seeing you could literally the dude could literally go to his right. There's an open space.
You could do a cartwheel. It's open.
Corner, bro. Yeah, I'm in the middle of the bar. Like what in the world? Okay.
Oh my god.
So let's just keep
deflection.
Yeah. Seriously.
It's like respect. I haven't heard of this. I've heard of Medicare Advantage, which looks to be doing the same kind of stuff. So CPC just had a meeting about it this week, and I'm working with CPC members to figure out what we're going to do.
All right.
I definitely will.
Medicare.
Yeah.
Even the same crap that Obama tried to do with Social Security.
Yes. Okay. No, for sure.
So, I mean, that has to be done.
Yes. I agree with you.
So we count on you to, like.
Of course, man. If you follow my career,
about to flex.
You can. So you don't have to approach me like this.
Bro, look.
If you follow my career, you know all I do is fight against the privatization of public resources in public schools, in healthcare, and everything, especially public schools, because that's my background. That's what we're talking about.
Oh my god, I'm never shocked at anything, but what the fuck? Oh my god, if he came at me like that.
Wow. Just follow his career, man. And don't back him up in a corner.
Oh my god.
Some of us have followed his career.
Yeah. Like when you were on the Capitol steps for like an hour in a Wu-Tang shirt, being like, yeah, help the homeless. And then you went home and never cared again. Yeah, we followed that. Dude, oh my freaking gods. Oh my god. So is he saying that if dude went up to him and was like, hello, Mr. Congressman, nice to meet you. I wanted to approach you about HR 676, that he'd be having a real genuine conversation? No, he fucking wouldn't. He loves shit like that because he gets to use it as an example of like, you're going to approach me like that, like, and make that guy look like he's disrespectful, when in fact, we got to take an opportunity to make elected officials uncomfortable. And it's not every day we see them in real life. So you're going to go up and you're going to ask what you're going to ask, and you're a fucking constituent. So we don't owe them anything. They are the ones supposed to be professional, not us. We're not wearing a suit. I don't give a fuck what I sound like. But you represent me? Oh my God.
I'm honestly surprised that he asked. He's like, "Are you a constituent? Do you live here?" Because lately, I know in the past when they've been when people have tried to hold him accountable, they've said, "Oh, you're not in my district. I'm not talking to you." Right? So
You vote so that it covers our entire country. We're all your fucking constituents.
yeah, your vote represents the entire country. So like, and
I gotta
that's
call his ass out on Twitter.
that's-
Send me this fucking video before
yeah.
I put money up. Because
And again,
I'm
if
like
you-
so pissed about this.
Here's the thing: if you get texts from these politicians, which I don't know about you, I get them quite a lot, asking for money, then you should be able to call them out because essentially, theoretically, they're doing this on your dime.
Yep.
I mean, I don't give them money, but I mean, theoretically, if I could.
See, if I were that guy, I don't know when this was taken, but I would have been like, didn't you just vote against socialism? So how are you protecting Medicare? Please tell me.
Yeah, I don't think Bowman voted against socialism.
Oh, he didn't.
No.
So
I
there
don't think
were.
Bowman would have. But
Yeah,
he
like
did
AO
visit Israel. You know.
Of course.
Yeah,
there's
well, that
countless things we could say about Bowman that are shitty, right? But I think for the record clear, yeah, I was looking at the list and yeah, Bowman definitely. I mean, generally all the, quote unquote progressive politicians were smart enough to not vote yes sorry.
What about Camilla?
I think
she voted it down. Yeah, she was no on that.
Ro Khanna was. I mean, I think Ro Khanna gets the most shit because he's the most glaring person who's like.
There were several others like Joe Neguse, my congressman from Colorado.
Oh, yeah.
It turns out I think 5 of our 6 Democratic Congress people voted for the resolution.
Okay.
And
yeah,
like Joe Neguse is he's part of the Progressive Caucus. Theoretically, very progressive.
Hakeem Jeffries is part of the caucus,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I think isn't even Adam Schiff part of the Progressive Caucus? I want to say.
Well,
I wouldn't be surprised.
There's
over 100 members.
Yeah,
There's
only,
over 100
only 86 voted against it, so that means we have at least 14 that either voted present, which is even worse than voting yay or nay, in my opinion.
Yep. Throw some balls, take a stand.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even going to actually say anything on this. I'm just going to say I'm here because I have very strong opinions about not siding on one way or the other.
Yeah. I'm ambivalent, it's safe.
No. So Schiff, I don't think is part of the Progressive Caucus, but I'm just looking right now, and Schiff, it looks like has entered the Senate race in California.
Oh.
And Nancy Pelosi has endorsed him. Excellent. So yeah, that happened February 3rd. I'm looking at the San Francisco Chronicle right now. Yeah. So that's.
Well, she blocked me, so.
Oh man.
I believe wasn't it Schiff who said that we fight Russia there, so we don't have to fight them at home. I think that was Schiff.
Oh my god, that's amazing! Oh my god, that's hilarious. Oh, and by the way, why is nobody talking about how Seth Rich? Like, why is nobody talking about the fact that we were fucking, proven right after all this? There is no fucking Russiagate. It was all propaganda. It was Seth Rich. Like, all this came out and like nobody's fucking talking about it. And that's fucking huge. Yeah. Because that absolutely has so much to do with the past 6 years of xenophobia against Russian people and the country of Russia. It's been used as a pejorative because but her emails. And now we know for a fact it wasn't fucking Russia.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing I just wanted to just highlight, because there are so many reasons to criticize AOC. I feel like sometimes they can be a little overplayed, it's like redundant in terms of reasons, but I think I just wanted to highlight something that Ryan Knight said that is spot on. So this was, I think, at a similar type of event where Bowman got, that person went up to Bowman. And
there's Bowman right behind her.
Yeah, and notice there's Chuck Schumer right there. Oh yeah, he's definitely anti-establishment. He's literally the establishment of the Democratic Party. I mean, like, you can't be any more establishment than Chuck Schumer. He's literally the majority leader of the Senate. But anyway, so I just wanted to highlight what Ryan Knight said. Stop lying to folks, AOC, because AOC's talking about how, how much they've accomplished in the last 3 years of really kind of their anti-establishment voices. And then he says, so when Wall Street puppets like Chuck Schumer attend your fundraisers, the powers that be are not calcified against you or your movement. In fact, the DNC loves you because you funnel grassroots movements into their party to die. Bam! Like, damn. Nailed it. So,
including one of my dudes, Connor Lamb, who's essentially a Republican. She gave him money people gave to her. Disgusting.
Yeah. Well, he's out of Congress now because he had a pretty embarrassing race for the Senate of Pennsylvania.
But we still got some other twat waffles. So.
Oh, of course, it's a revolving door. But yeah. Yeah, so I guess so where's the funny thing? Did you send me the funny thing?
Funny thing, guys. I need a funny thing.
I don't know. I thought Chuck Schumer and AOC dancing.
I mean, that's pretty fucking funny.
Yeah. You know what's interesting, though, and I was thinking about this today between AOC and Chuck Schumer. So I remember a couple years ago, there was whole murmurs of AOC potentially challenging Chuck Schumer for his Senate seat, right? And that was also when, people were starting to kind of turn heads and being like to AOC, like, are you really going to continue challenging the Democratic Party, or are you going to get co-opted, right? But it wasn't quite as clear. And I remember shortly after that, you started seeing AOC and Chuck Schumer just like in places more together, either speaking side by side or just having friendly conversations. And you definitely have to wonder behind the scenes, like once the murmurs started, what Chuck Schumer did in order to, get AOC to be more quote unquote cooperative with them.
Remember how when she first came out and started sounding exactly like Pete Buttigieg, exactly like word salad nonstop, like it's like a little Easter egg, like all that fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
And then an article came out that they've been doing Taco Tuesdays together. Like at a fucking restaurant, okay? It's not like they meet up.
It's Tuesday today. Maybe they had their tacos today.
Like, he probably fucking has her make them and serve them to him.
God.
Oh my God. I've been saying this for a couple of years. I am telling you guys, Pete and AOC running together, President and Vice Pete. Telling you, I can see it. It's gonna happen.
I think we should have given more hate to Pete for the railway disaster as well.
Oh my God, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I mean, very few people did. I mean, David Sirota is the only person who I really saw write substantive critiques of Pete Buttigieg and really showed just how much of a clown he is.
I haven't seen anyone else talk about this. Andrew, remember last week we talked about how he was exposed for the airline?
Yeah. That's what we were just mentioning. Yeah.
Insane. But people are like trying to push him to run. Oh my God. If I had to listen to that douche nozzle fucking talk for 4 years, I'm going to cry in the fetal position.
But that's what I was saying. Like, if it was, But if it was exposed, like if the mainstream media really talked about and said like what David Sirota like dug out, if that became mainstream news, Pete wouldn't have a chance because now he is inconveniencing middle to upper middle class people, and that's his base.
I don't think they care though. They don't care about anything.
They
They're
would if
just
they
like,
knew if
"But
they
Trump,
put that in,
but
if they were
Trump."
yeah, but if you're getting in the way of their travel plans, they're gonna know, like, you know, they don't know that because the media is not talking about it. But if you
They're
are
gonna call
able
it a smear campaign. I don't have
well,
faith
if
in people
their
like
news
that.
sources like CNN and MSNBC were to talk about it, then they would trust it. I don't think they'd call it a smear campaign. Maybe some of the fringe Pete people, but I think, you know, yeah. I mean, the whole idea is that they're not doing that. So either way, that's not.
Let
gonna
our guest
happen.
be a tiebreaker. What do you think?
I mean, Pete is definitely damaged goods, but I wouldn't be surprised if they push him anyway.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I was gonna say basically what I was trying to say, if our media had any sort of resemblance of actual reporting and, you know, investigating, and they showed what Pete was doing and more people were knowing that in the mainstream platform, then he would lose his base. But that's not what's happening, of course, because
Right.
only people like David Sirota are the ones who are actually
Which is
digging that stuff out. So
insane.
I mean, look at Biden. If people knew Biden's history, then he would have still been getting 4th and 5th, but they, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do, before we go to it, and I sent you a funny, Andrew, I do want to talk about the debt ceiling, because tonight I couldn't wait to not watch it, but Biden did his State of the Union, and it was apparently going to focus on the debt ceiling. And I saw some clips today of McCarthy saying he's going to meet with Biden tomorrow, and that's why he wants to meet with him to talk about it. Oh, that's the funny. Andrew,
Continue.
put it back and read it. People can't see it that quick.
Okay, I didn't want to interrupt your flow of what you were saying, so I took it down.
It's a little late for that. But yeah, love you. But yeah, oh yeah.
When you ask the new homie what flavor Gatorade he wants, and he tells you the flavor instead of the color. Whoa, that's a fad.
Pretty much.
Nice.
I'm just gonna save that for like literally everything. But yeah, as far as, I mean, Andrew, I know you've read The Deficit Myth as well.
Yes.
You know, and obviously everyone watching is a huge Stephanie Kelton fan. But, you know, we're still seeing this. You know, we're giving Ukraine blank checks, and they're still talking about a debt ceiling. So it's incredibly contradictory that we supposedly have this thing that stops us from spending so much, but yet we're spending unlimited amounts at the same time. So what is your take when you see people talking about the debt ceiling all the time, and not just politicians, but we see it a lot on social media as well?
I mean, this is just a total bullshit line. It's an excuse that, you know, Biden, in the same State of the Union, I saw the transcript before he even was speaking, but he talks about, you know, how they want to, protect Social Security and Medicare. And as we already saw, they're privatizing Medicare. It's also worth mentioning they never mentioned Medicaid because they just recently kicked thousands, if not millions, of more people off of Medicaid because
over 15 million.
Yeah, 15 million. There you go. Like, because the pandemic assistance expired and they're not renewing that. So yeah, when they talk about the debt ceiling, it only matters when it comes to austerity measures, cutting Social Security, cutting any kind of public funding. But it doesn't matter when it comes to corporate giveaways, which is like Biden's signature infrastructure plan was basically just giveaways to corporations, and that's what he's pushing right now. And then when it comes to all the military industrial complex, which is the huge thing, and then also, of course, more money to cops, Biden's spending on cops has largely increased. So yeah, any talk about debt ceilings is just a decoy, an excuse for them to wage war on the working class and crush the life out of us, while at the same time just throwing money at everyone else, that they're, all their bourgeois friends in the corporations.
It's subliminally, conditions people to think we can't have nice things. Before I woke up in 2015, I fell for this shit. I'm like, well, we can't. I would love if people had this, that, and the other thing, but we can't afford it. And then I started learning about how it's priorities to them. It's not that we can't afford it. It's because they don't want to give it to us. It's not profitable for us to be healthy. It's not profitable for us to be intelligent. So it's definitely not a broken system. It's fixed for sure. It's bananas. Do you have anything else promote your articles too? Because you write awesome articles. Where can people read them?
You can find them at Real Progressives or at my Substack, like I say, which is at burian.substack.com mainly. I occasionally publish elsewhere, but that's mainly with Real Progressives. And I'm working on an article currently about that socialist, anti-socialism resolution.
Awesome. Well, send it to me. I will gladly pimp it out for sure.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for joining us. It was great to finally so-called meet you after years on social media. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. You guys are the best, and I will check out your comments.
Yeah, and I wanted to highlight too, so Applejack is doing mutual aid work in Ohio.
Yes.
Regarding that. So yeah, definitely check that out. It's, I believe, pinned on his Twitter as well. So I will definitely retweet it, share it, do what you can to give visibility to it.
Yes. And also, speaking of mutual aid, I am doing something this month. I am having musicians for mutual aid, and I'm having several musicians play on a live stream so that I can drop mutual aid links in the comments as the musicians play, so people can donate directly to the people in need. So it'll be people who need mutual aid help literally hit me up multiple times a day. So it'll be people who need food, housing, anything like that. And I'll just be putting their links in. So if anyone wants to donate, it can go directly to them. If you are a musician or know anyone who is a musician, please have them reach out to me. I only have 4 performers right now. And I definitely would like more. So if you know anyone or play anything yourself, please hit me up. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that a lot. And next Monday we have a comedian, Ellie. She does a podcast on Cracked. It's kind of like a Mad TV type thing. And she gives advice about people's dating lives. She was a therapist, an actual therapist, credentialed, and left that profession to become a comedian. So she uses that in her comedy, and it's fucking amazing. So she is joining us next Monday for a Valentine's show, in which we're going to make it interactive, and you guys can tell us all your horrible dating stories. And like last year, I think it was probably one of my favorite shows ever because all we did was talk about like one night stands and like Logan like brought out like toys and stuff. It was fucking epic. It was amazing. So I don't know if it'll be that, you know, badass, but it'll be fun. We usually talk about some heavy shit. So Monday will be a very, very fun show. So I hope you will join us. Again, thank you so much to our guest. It was great to finally meet you, and you are welcome back anytime for sure.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was great to be here.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Much love.